Let's now take you across to our colleagues who've fanned out across the nation to cover the fourth phase of polling tomorrow. We're joined by Amit Mukherjee from Ujjain in the state of Madhya Pradesh. Dibyendu Mondals joining us from Krishnanagar in West Bengal, and Akshay Dongre is joining us from Hyderabad in Telangana. Good evening to you all. Amit, let's start with you since you're right in the middle of the nation in Madhya Pradesh. 8 seats in this phase. The 2019 turnout for the entire state was 71.2%. It seems the weather is going to be kind tomorrow, relatively speaking. So will MP do better this time around compared to both the last 3 phases and the 2019 elections?
Hi Gautam. Yeah, it seems that the weather gods are pretty pleased out here. In fact, in the evening, Ujjain received a bit of showers. We had a drizzling out here. And it is indicative of the fact that the weather will also remain similar tomorrow. In fact, we saw a lot of clouds floating around over the city, and that gave some respite from the scorching heat out here. In fact, if I tell you about Madhya Pradesh, it's the state through which the Tropic of Cancer passes, and which is why it is extremely hot during the summer months. Now, talking about the poll preparations, in fact, Election Commission of India, keeping this in mind, it was high on their minds, in fact, when they were planning out, the arrangements, which is why they have leased or, reached out to permanent buildings where they have set up these polling stations out here, because, the shelters, the temporary shelters which they put up, they are not adequate to kind of fight this kind of heat which we see in this region. So definitely that had also played. I mean, the temperatures have also played. They had reflected on the first 2 phases of polling, where Madhya Pradesh saw about 65% polling. Now, again, Election Commission, considering the fact that polling percentage was not actually touching 70, which is usually the case in Madhya Pradesh, they had taken up a few initiatives of kind of engaging the voters. They had started lucky draw schemes on the spot at the polling stations, which actually, coaxed a lot of voters to visit the polling stations to do their duty. And similar things, and because of the initiatives taken, we saw a considerable jump to about 71% in the 3rd phase. Similarly, those schemes have been extended for the 4th phase as well, and we are expecting that those schemes, and definitely, of course, the weather has also kind of become a bit pleasing out here, and it is not that hot, which we have been witnessing for the last 3-4 days. So I think the Election Commission is expecting and hoping that they would see a voter turnout which would be more than 70%, which has been the trend out here in this particular, region. The 8 constituencies which are going to poll tomorrow.
Okay,
Gautam?
Let's hope that happens. Now, Dibyendu, the turnout figures for West Bengal have been in the 80s in both 2014 and 19 general elections, but the last 3 phases have been disappointing. Could the 4th phase be any different?
Well, Gautam, West Bengal, as you rightly said, polls very high, records very high number of polling every election season. But Gautam, now what begins is the polling in the South Bengal region of the West Bengal. So, of course, if you look at the data, Gautam, this particular region, which is the South Bengal region, polls in very high numbers. So, I believe, in fact, the Election Commission officials also believe that the polling number for West Bengal will touch the 80% figure after the overall polling is completed. But having said this, yes, the Election Commission is also making all efforts to ensure that the polling numbers keep increasing in a state like West Bengal, where the state over the last many decades have been recording voting percentage of between 75 to 85%. Even in the last both 2019 and 2014 Lok Sabha election, the voting percentage in West Bengal was over 80%. And the officials here are hoping that even this time around, the polling percentage would be around that. So, of course, these crucial seats are going to poll, so people are enthusiastic to go and cast their vote. I've been staying at a hotel in Krishnanagar where, the hotel staffs have all gone back home because they want to cast their vote. That's how the enthusiasm in Bengal is about voting. It's a very politically active state and politically aware state where the people are very much keen in taking part in the celebration of democracy. So, yes, all hopes are high that even this time around, the polling percentage in Bengal would be above the 80% mark. Back to you, Gautam.
All right. Now, Akshay, Telangana has been a 60 state in terms of turnout since inception. Can we expect it to do better tomorrow, considering there is a lot more room to bump up the numbers here?
Well, absolutely, Gautam. In fact, when it comes to Telangana, the voting percentage has relatively has remained high, but higher than the national average as well on certain occasions. However, when we look at tomorrow's polling day, it is again with the coming just right next to a weekend, and generally when we look at the urban constituencies, it has not been a good day. But when it comes to the voting percentage is concerned, because if the polling day is on a Friday or on a Monday, people club the voting day along with the weekend, and they usually go out on long weekends, getaways, and that has been one message that the election commission has been giving as well, that people should consider voting not only as their right but as their responsibility as well, and they should consider taking part in the polling procedure. But however, when it comes to the rural areas, yes, certainly the Election Commission of India has made all the elaborate arrangements. In fact, there are about 54 polling booths that have been set up with with less than 100 voters. There are a few polling booths that have been set up with less than 25 voters as well. So the polling bodies are doing all of their work. The polling officials are doing all of their work. Now it's time for the voters to, in fact, turn up in adequate numbers and cast their vote, choose their government, and fulfill their responsibility as well while exercising their right. So while the Election Commission is hoping for a higher percentage, it remains to be seen that in terms of politics, how much people will be interested in actually getting out of their homes and not taking a long weekend here, at least in Hyderabad and other cities, and in fact turn up in huge numbers. Back to you.
All right. Let me come back to you, Amit. The phase 4 elections are in what is called the Malwa Nimar region in Madhya Pradesh. Now, what kind of voting traits has it had in the more recent Lok Sabha polls, and what do these tell us about the possible outcome this time around?
Well, Gautam, traditionally these three parliamentary constituencies where the elections are happening tomorrow are the strongholds of BJP. Now, if you look at 2019, BJP made a clean sweep on all these 8 seats. Now, the only seat this time where some challenges have been thrown up at BJP is the tribal constituency. I mean, where a large portion of that constituency falls under tribal areas. This is the Ratlam constituency. Now, the challenges have come up. This has been evident post the assembly elections which had happened last year. Now, if I look at Ratlam constituency, it has about 8 assembly constituencies. Now, each parliamentary constituency is made up of several assembly constituencies. Now, Ratlam has got 8. Now, during the assembly elections, it was 50-50 for both BJP and Congress, which means that Congress got 4 and even BJP got 4. But again, there were certain, upside as far as polling percentage was concerned, and it was in favor of Congress, which is why a lot of emphasis is now being given on this particular constituency. And, both the political parties, which are the arch rivals out here, the fight is a direct fight between the two parties. They are concentrating on the tribal people. Now, BJP has been focusing a lot on development. Prime Minister had unveiled several projects in the month of February to the tune of about 7,500 crores. And also Congress is reaching out to the tribals by, reiterating what they have mentioned in the poll manifesto, which also includes doles, cash doles for women. In fact, a controversy was recently wrecked up, where one of the leaders had said that, people with 2 wives will be getting about 2 lakhs of rupees. But that aside, yes, a lot of emphasis is now there on this Ratlam belt, and that seems to be a good fight between the two parties. Rest the other 7 constituencies, BJP have been very, very strong in these areas. And even this time, if you look at Indore, it got a walkover virtually because, BJP doesn't really have a significant opponent out there because the Congress guy, he had withdrawn at the last moment. In fact, he had also joined BJP. Okay. So, I mean, that leaves with 6 other constituencies where, again, BJP has been traditionally very, very strong.
Got it.
Gautam?
Got it. Now, the 4th phase is quite interesting in West Bengal as well, because each of the 3 main contenders have a lot to lose in this phase, considering the personalities involved. Could you elaborate on those dynamics of this phase?
Well, Gautam, that's right. The Krishnanagar seat, let's first begin with the Krishnanagar seat. It's, of course, a very hotly contested seat because of the fact that the Trinamool Congress's vociferous Mahua Moitro, whom we have seen taking on the BJP in the Indian Parliament, and also recently being involved in a controversy for cash for query case. She was suspended from the Parliament. So, of course, she is again seeking re-election from this constituency here in West Bengal, and also she's fighting against the BJP's candidate Amrita Roy. She is the queen mother of Krishnanagar, famously known as Rani Ma. So, of course, the BJP put her as the candidate because the BJP has taken it upon themselves to defeat Mahua Moitro from here. So, of course, the contest and Gautam, remember in the last election, in 2019, Mahua Moitro won by just about 50 to 55,000 votes, which is not much in an election like that of a Lok Sabha, where the electorate is more than 12 lakh. So, of course, that is a tough contest here. If we up north, it's the Baharampur constituency, where the Congress's bastion was considered to be a Congress's bastion. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary is wanting to defend his seat, while the Trinamool Congress has fielded Yusuf Pathan from the Baharampur constituency to take on Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary. The TMC is determined to defeat Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary because they believe that it was for him that the alliance in Bengal with the Trinamool, the Congress and the CPM, which is the part of the India alliance, did not take place. So the Trinamool Congress is taking Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary head on. The other important seat is, of course, the seat of Asansol, where the Trinamool Congress's Shatrughan Sinha will be fighting it out against the BJP's SS Ahluwalia. Ahluwalia had been a former union minister. He is now moved from the Bardhaman Durgapur seat to the Asansol seat. Former BJP's national state president Dilip Ghosh is also contesting from that particular seat now, which is the Bardhaman Durgapur seat, against again a former cricketer, Kirti Azad. So, these big names contesting in this elections in this phase here in West Bengal. So, of course, it's an interesting fight. It's an interesting battle. As you rightly said, lots at stake, lots to lose for the people or for the political leaders who will be losing in this phase of election. But from the ground, what I pick up, Gautam, is that in most of these constituencies, the battle is tough. It's not easy or a walkover for any of the political parties that are contesting here. Back to you.
All right. Now, Akshay, how significant is the anti or pro-incumbency factor in Telangana? Because there are two polar opposites to consider here. The Congress came to power in the state just a few months ago. So the people will be weighing its state initiatives, while they will also consider what the NDA has been doing at the center for the last 10 years.
Well, Gautam, if you look at the state politics of Telangana, then ever since Telangana was carved out of Andhra Pradesh, there was a very strong sense of regional identity in the state. However, that has been fading in the past few years, and that is what has resulted into the Congress party winning a majority in the state in the last legislative elections, where the Congress got about 64 out of 119 seats, where the BRS, which was earlier known as the Telangana Rashtra Samiti, the TRS, only got about 39 seats. So clearly that goes on to show that the people have in fact parted ways when it comes to voting vehemently for a regional party like TRS to going to and voting for a national party. However, while it is too early for anti-incumbency factor to weigh in or to set in into a state like Telangana, where the new government has only spent about 6 months as far as the ruling the state is concerned, but they had made a certain promises to the people of Telangana. In fact, during the election, 6 promises were made to the people, where from reservation to jobs and other things as well, which they could not fulfill in those 100-day timeline, and that has upset a lot of voters in the state who were waiting for the Congress government to fulfill onto those promises.
Okay.
So that can become a disadvantage for the Congress party here. BRS, already we are seeing that their voter base has been shrinking,
yes.
Whereas BJP has been trying to expand into the state, but
but when it comes to the national issues as well, the people of Telangana may in fact give some advantage to the Bharatiya Janata Party when it comes to the road infrastructure, or when it comes to
well, let's see, we'll find out only on the
investments
4th
coming into
of
the
June, but let's hope that they come out in good numbers and poll tomorrow quite well. Thanks a lot for joining us to talk about the latest where these states are concerned, concerning the 4th phase of polling which takes place in, of course, 96 constituencies across 10 states and union territories across the country tomorrow. Thanks.